Good morning, class. Today I'm going to go over the two problems that were pointed out to me that were skipped over in the previous videos of the final exam review, numbers 32 and 33. All right, so first we'll start with number 32. It says to sketch the graph of y is equal to -5 plus 4 times the sine. It actually has a 3 out in front of this parentheses, but I'm just going to go ahead and distribute it to make it look a little bit more like we're used to. So it ends up being 3x minus 3 pi over 4 in the argument. All right, so of course, the number in front of my sine is a, the number in front of my variable is b, and the other number in the parentheses here at the end is c. Do be mindful that the negative is built in, so your c would actually be positive 3 pi over 4. And then, of course, d is your number. It can either be out front or in the back at the end. All right, so now we use our a, b, c, and d to figure out some of the properties of this graph. All right, first we'll talk about amplitude. And that is just the absolute value of a, which in this case will be 4. The period, right, is 2 pi over b. In this case, my b is 3, so 2 pi over 3. We use our period to get our intervals. All right, remember, to get our intervals, which is essentially the distance between each tick mark on the x-axis, we take our period and we divide it by 4, which is the same as multiplying it by 1/4. So if you multiply this by 1 over 4, you would get 2 pi over 12. Now I know that reduces, but eventually we're going to want to get a common denominator with multiple of our properties here, so you can hold off on that till later. All right, next, we want to find the baseline, which is the middle of our graph, and that is simply d, which in this case is -5. All right, next we want to do our start, which is the same as our horizontal shift or phase shift. And in order to do that, you do c divided by b. So 3 pi over 4 divided by 3. Of course, dividing by 3 is the same as multiplying by 1/3. Same thing as keep, change, flip here. So 3 pi over 4 times 1/3 is 3 pi over 12. All right, and then finally our end. We take the start and we add and subtract the period. Now, in order to do that, we're going to want a common denominator. All right, so this could be 8 pi over 12. So when I take my start and subtract my period, I get -5 pi over 12. And when I take my start and add my period, I get 11 pi over 12. All right, so these are all of the pieces of information that I will need to graph this thing. All right, so what I want to do now is start with an x-axis. All right, then we start right in the middle, and we put our start, so 3 pi over 12. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 4 ticks to the right, and 1, 2, 3, 4 ticks to the left. All right, now every time I go to the right, I'm going to add my interval. Every time I go to the left, I'm going to subtract my interval. So I'm going to go to the right first and add. So then I will have 5 pi over 12. Add 2 pi over 12 again to get 7 pi over 12. Again. And one more time. All right, now do note that matches my right endpoint here, so I can feel pretty confident that I did it correctly. Now going to the left, I want to be subtracting 2 pi over 12. So 1 pi over 12 negative pi over 12, negative 3 pi over 12, and negative 5 pi over 12. And actually, I'm going to move these all up top here. No, son of a biscuit. All right, well, I can get everything but the start there. That's fine. All right, now, of course, we do want a y-axis on here. Now, y-axis has to be between positive and negative because it's 0. And since these are the same, it's going to be directly between them. All right. Now, my amplitude is 4 and my baseline is negative 5, which means negative 5 is going to be in the middle, and I have to go up 4 and down 4. So I go up 4 to negative 1. And down 4 to negative 9. All right, so of course, our dotted lines will be at our baseline of negative 5, and then up 4 to negative 1, and then down 4 to negative 9. Fix this one a little bit here. All right, now all of my points are going to be on one of these dashed lines. My start was 3 pi over 12. This is a sine curve. Sine always starts on the baseline, remember? All right, so I go here, baseline. Now, whether I go up first or down first depends on whether my A is positive or negative. My A here is this positive 4. That means I go up first. And then I come back down to the baseline, down to the minimum, back to the baseline. I follow that pattern. I go down here. Do be mindful that 0 was not one of our actual intervals, so I skip over that. That's a very common mistake. And now just connect this with a nice smooth curve. And we're done. All right, and the other one that was skipped is 33. And 33 says find the exact value of the 6 trigonometric functions if the point P, which is equal to 2, negative 5, is a point on the terminal side of the angle. All right, well, okay. So this actually is just a purely SOHCAHTOA problem here. All right. 2, negative 5 would be to the right 2 and down 5. So I'm down here somewhere. All right, so there's my terminal angle, or my terminal side. All right, now to make a triangle, I always do a perpendicular line with the x-axis. And my theta is always inside the triangle adjacent to the origin. All right, so the point tells me my legs, right? So I went to the right 2, and I went down 5. So now to find my hypotenuse, I simply use the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared, and that will end up being the square root of 29. All right, from here it's all SOHCAHTOA. All right, so sine of theta is going to equal opposite over hypotenuse. So negative 5 over root 29, which of course rationalizes to negative 5 root 29 over 29. And then we can easily find our cosecant simply by flipping that. We want to flip the pre-rationalized version. It makes our life a lot easier. Then we go to cosine of theta. Well, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So that's 2 over root 29, which again rationalizes to 2 root 29 over 29. Of course, the secant is the reciprocal of that. Again, flip the pre-rationalized version to make life easier on yourself. And finally, tangent is opposite over adjacent, so negative 5 halves. So cotangent, we just flip that, and negative 2/5. Bada bing. Those are the two problems that were left out of the review. I hope that helps all of you that were asking about those. Have a good one.